Red Dead Redemption 2 is, simply put, one of the greatest video games of the past decade, and indeed likely ever. The sort of richly immersive open-world game one can barely believe actually exists. Rockstar's Western opus raised the bar astoundingly high where attention to detail is concerned, and so it's little surprise that millions have poured hundreds, if not thousands of hours into it. And yay it, Red Dead Redemption 2 turns 8 years old this year, and so you might just have a hankering for something new that kind of still feels that little bit familiar though, a game with a sprinkling of that unmistakable Red Dead DNA, even if the style and perhaps the genre might actually be totally different. So with this in mind, I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are the top 10 upcoming games like Red Dead Redemption you need to know about. Number 10, Exekiller. If you crossed Red Dead Redemption with both Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout New Vegas, you'd surely end up with something like Exekiller, a semi-open world retro-futurist Western FPS from Polish indie studio Paradark. Exekiller is set in a dystopian post-apocalyptic alt-future where a catastrophe has turned Earth into a hostile wasteland, leaving the remaining dregs of humanity to fight for survival. Players take control of bounty hunter Denzel Phoenix as he explores the dusty ruins of New York City and investigates the calamity which brought the world to collapse. As big and RPG adjacent as it might sound, Exekiller apparently offers up a relatively linear campaign, albeit with a story that still emphasizes player choice and a series of hub-based central locales to be explored. Evidently, Exekiller takes the frontier-facing western vibe of Red Dead and jacks into the techno-centric future, and even if it remotely lives up to the rootin tootin gameplay footage released so far, it is an absolute banger in the making. Number 9, Stranger Than Heaven. Stranger Than Heaven is the new game from Yakuza/Like a Dragon developer Ryoga Gotoku, and oh boy, it sure looks like an ambitious step up. It's an action-packed detective story spanning several decades in Osaka, Japan during the first half of the 20th century, and is centered around investigator Mako Daito as he becomes embroiled in Japan's criminal underworld. The reveal trailer doesn't give too much away story-wise, but confirms that the game will feature judgment-style detective gameplay combined with close-quarters fisticuffs and gunfights. It also appears to tout a grittier, more self-serious tone than the Like a Dragon games, while paying homage to the classic film noirs of decades past. Though Stranger Than Heaven assuredly rocks a decidedly smaller budget than a AAA Rockstar game, RGG has proven themselves masters of delivering quality blockbuster titles with short turnarounds, so why expect anything different here?
Hey guys, I just gotta have a quick word with you about today's video sponsor. It's us, FGS. Subscribe to our channel. There's no sponsorships going on here at the moment, so why not just take the time out your day to subscribe to our channel, help us out. See you later.
Number 8, Western Rye. For anyone mad that Rockstar never released an Undead Nightmare DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2, well, Western Rye might just fill that sizable void. Nick Salon Studios has freely stated that their open-world survival game is inspired by both Red Dead Redemption and Resident Evil 4, taking place in an apocalyptic Old West beset by a deadly plague called Rye Fever. Playable in both third and first person, you'll need to not only take on the many rabid infected, but also manage hunger and thirst, maintain a regular supply of fresh food, repair your weapons, gather resources to sell, and endure inclement weather. Though obviously more into the nuts and bolts of survival than Red Dead has ever been, Western Rye nevertheless appears to offer up an ambitious Rockstar-esque open world to explore alongside obsessively detailed micromanagement mechanics, and it's even got its own answer to Red Dead Online, given that the game can also be played in co-op. Number 7, The Legend of Khiimori. For the great many who've spent dozens, even hundreds of hours riding around Rockstar's Wild West on horseback, The Legend of Khiimori is a game that should absolutely command your attention, and considering its Kickstarter raised over €500,000, clearly it's already struck a massive chord with the equine lovers among us. The Legend of Khiimori is an exploration game which takes place in gorgeously picturesque 13th century Mongolia, where players breed and train horses while making treacherous deliveries, gathering resources and crafting, all in the pursuit of survival against the harshness of nature. Perhaps best thought of as Red Dead by way of Death Stranding, but with 1000% less babies in jars, The Legend of Khiimori has great interest in the minutiae of traversal on horseback, where you'll need to ensure that your balance is, well, balanced. The big difference from Red Dead is that this game doesn't feature any combat, but frankly, aren't there enough shooty western games out there? It'll be neat to play one that's focused on drinking in the natural beauty of its open world and forging a bond with your trusty steed. Number 6, Red Rust Pioneers Multiplayer Western Survival Simulator. Red Rust Pioneers Multiplayer Western Survival Simulator is exactly what it says on the tin, an open world open-world Western survival game with co-op functionality for up to 4 players. Though its Western aesthetics draw unavoidable comparisons to Red Dead, the particulars of its survival mechanics have more in common with games like Ark Survival Evolved, The Forest, and Rust. Gameplay is centered around hunting, gathering, and crafting in order to survive an unforgiving Western wilderness defined by brutal weather and wildlife that is only too keen to eat your face off. And that is to say that it's filled with really, really big bears. Base building mechanics will meanwhile allow you and your pals to build and grow a camp that, with due care and attention, can become fully self-sufficient in the bleak yet beautiful Red Rust Valley. Number 5. Erosion. And now for a game like, well, nothing else on this list, we have Erosion, a blindly gorgeous attempt to transplant the Red Dead vibe into an isometric voxel art roguelike. Yes. Just as John Marston fought so hard to protect his family in Red Dead Redemption, in Erosion, you must race to rescue your daughter who's been kidnapped by a warlord. Plenty of gunplay ensues, but here comes the big roguelike rub. Through timey-wimey shenanigans, every death costs you a decade where the world around you changes, and get this, your daughter also ages. Choices you make across runs will have persistent impact on the developing landscape, which is packed to the gills with things worth doing, from casinos to bounties, duels, fights, and giant dune-esque sandworms, and if you really get bored, you can even join a cult. Developer Plot Twist also insists that pretty much everything in this beautiful voxel environment can be dismantled by your growing array of artillery. Neat. Number 4. Westlanders. Westlanders is a Western survival game which challenges players to tame its treacherous land, build a home for themselves, and defend against any dangers that might encroach upon them. You'll need to not only tackle nature, as in tough weather and hungry wolves, but also fend off your duplicate's fellow man, while exploring the open world for riches in your wagon mobile base. The reveal trailer boasts some gorgeous sun-kissed cinematography, gravelly voiceover narration, and a groovy guitar soundtrack, ensuring that it all falls firmly into the cinematic Western tradition, just like Red Dead. And it need not be a solitary experience either, as Westlanders will launch with co-op support, surely making it easier to build outposts, raise settlements, and make a patch of land your own. Developing the Breach Studios will be launching the game in early access and has vowed to evolve it in direct response to player feedback. Number 3. Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert may be one of the few games on this list that isn't Western themed, but it earns its place with a mouth-wateringly immersive open world absolutely worthy of Rockstar itself. A big pre-release talking point about Pearl Abyss's open-world RPG is the flabbergasting size of its world, with the developer claiming that it dwarfs the map of not only Skyrim, but also Red Dead Redemption 2. Given that Red Dead Redemption 2's map comes in at a hefty 30 square kilometers, that is a whole lot of land, and from what we've seen of Crimson Desert's fantasy world of Puel, it's also populated with a whole lot of things worth doing. In addition to tackling the cinematic main story, you'll be able to scale the land on both horseback and dragon and partake in a bevy of off-piste activities like mushroom foraging, sheep wrangling, hot air balloon riding, and even pole vaulting? Yeah, why not? The attention to detail looks absolutely staggering, suggesting that Crimson Desert will offer up a vast world that you'll freely lose yourself in that is worthy of Rockstar. So don't be too shocked if this ends up competing with Rockstar's next game for Game of the Year by the end of 2026. Number 2, 49er. Now 49er, I'll stop doing that straight away, might not be quite as pretty as Crimson Desert, but it looks like what one might get if you stapled Valheim onto Red Dead Redemption's forehead in a good way. This survival game will plonk players into a procedurally generated Wild West world where you'll need to build, mine, and battle your way to build your legacy, either on your own or with friends. Val A Games has talked up their evolving procedural world, which is said to contain distinct biomes governed by dynamic weather, as well as NPCs who have an internal programmed life of their own. Beyond scaling the horizon, you'll also be able to explore underground caves and dip into fast-flowing rivers. Again, it's not shooting for photorealism and can't compete with the behemoths on this list at a technical level, but 49er, I said I'd stop doing it, but I couldn't resist. Sure looks like it has a lot of charm to spare, and isn't that what really matters? Personality goes a long way after all. And number 1, Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, come on, was anything other than Grand Theft Auto 6 ever going to be number 1? The latest entry into Rockstar's flagship open-world franchise is also the studio's first AAA game since Red Dead Redemption 2, and looks set to deliver one of the most breathtakingly immersive worlds in gaming history. GTA 6 is set in the Florida-inspired state of Leonida, and will be centered around the series' fan-favorite locale, Vice City. The story will focus on a Bonnie and Clyde-esque criminal duo, Jason and Lucia, and while we don't know much more than that, the 2 trailers released so far make it clear that Rockstar is giving the game everything they've got. The sprawling world looks set to be a mind-boggling showcase for matured current-gen consoles, and it goes without saying that there's so much Rockstar is holding close to their chest that it's, quite frankly, unbelievable. The 13-year wait since the release of GTA 5 ensures expectations are almost impossibly high, and yet Rockstar is one of the few publishers out there who have a good shot of of meeting such outrageous hype. Either way, it's guaranteed to be the single most talked about game of 2026. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 upcoming games like Red Dead Redemption that you need to know about. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, and whether or not you're picking up any of these titles. Have you pre-ordered any of them? Are you super excited? Also, if there's any more, let me know down there as well. I'd love to find out about more games just like you do, likely watching this video. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.